Zulkan and welcome back to Zulkan and on Fire. Now today I am going to tell you about the Ellesmere Chaucer, which is the 15th century illuminated manuscript of Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Let me tell you, this is containing text from Wikipedia. The Ellesmere Chaucer or Ellesmere manuscript of the Canterbury Tales is an early 15th century illuminated manuscript of Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, owned by the Huntington Library in San Marino, California, year 26C9. It is considered one of the most significant copies of the tales. History. Chaucer's scholarship has long assumed that no manuscripts from the tales exist dating from earlier than Chaucer's death in 1400. The Ellesmere manuscript, gradually dated to the first decades of the 15th century, would therefore be one of the first extant manuscripts of the tales. More recently, the manuscript has been dated to circa 1405 or earlier, leading to speculation that it was conceived in immediate response to Chaucer's death by those eager to commemorate his memory through the appropriate preservation of his work. It has been even been suggested that while the final sentence of the manuscript here is ended the book of Tales of the Canterbury, compiled by Geoffrey Chaucer, of whose soul, Jesu Christ have mercy, Amen, makes it clear that Chaucer had died by the time the manuscript was finished. Ellesmere could have begun while the poet was still alive. The early history of the manuscript is uncertain, but it seems to have been owned by John de Vere, 12th Earl of Oxford, 1408 to 1462. The manuscript takes its popular name from the fact that it later belonged to Sir Thomas Egerton, Baron Ellesmere, 1540 to 1617, Baron Ellesmere, and Viscount Rackley, who apparently obtained it from Roger North, 2nd Baron North, 1530 or 31 to 1600. The Library of Manuscripts, known as the Bridgewater Library, remained at the Egerton House, Ashridge, Hertfordshire, until 1802, when it was removed to London. Francis Egerton, created Earl of Ellesmere in 1846, inherited the library and remained in the family until its sale to Henry Huntington by John Francis Granville Scrope Egerton, 1872 to 1944. 4th Earl of Ellesmere. Huntington purchased the Bridgewater Library privately in 1917 through Sotheby's. The manuscript is now in the collection of the Huntington Library in San Marino, California, year 26C9. It was produced in fuzzy smell. In 1911, then reproduced again in color in 1995. Because the manuscript was in the Bridgewater Library for centuries, early scholars working on Chaucer's work were unaware of its existence, and it was not consulted for any early editions of the tales. It first came to public notice following its description in 1810. The text was not available until 1868, when it was edited by H. J. Furnivall. W. W. Skeet's 1894 edition of the tales was the first to use Ellesmere as the basis for its text description. The Ellesmere manuscript is a highly polished example of scribal workmanship, with a great deal of elaborate illumination and, notably, a series of the various narrators of the tales, including a famous one of Chaucer himself, mounted on a horse. The manuscript is written on 240 high-quality parchment leaves of approximately 394 by 284 millimeters. 15 1.5 by 11 1 out of 4 in size. Illuminations. Owing to the quality of its decoration and illustrations, Ellesmere is the most frequently reproduced Chaucer manuscript. In the order of appearance of the Ellesmere Chaucer, not that all storytellers have an illusion. Night, FOL, 10R. Miller, FOL, 34V. Reeve, FOL, 42R. Cook, FOL, 47R. Man of Law, FOL, 50V. Wife of Bath, FOL, 72R. Freer, FOL, 76V. Summoner, FOL, 81R. Clerk of Oxford, FOL, 88R. Merchant, FOL, 102V. Volume. Squire, FOL, 115V. Franklin, FOL, 123V. Physician, FOL, 133R. Partner, FOL, 138R. Shipman, FOL, 143V. Prioress, FOL, 148V. Chaucer, FOL, 153V. Monk and his Greyhounds, FOL, 169R. Noon's Priest, FOL, 179R. Second Noon, FOL, 187R. Cannon's Yeoman, FOL, 194R. Municipal, FOL, 203R. Parson, FOL, 206V. Scribe and its relation to other manuscripts. The Ellesmere manuscript is thought to be very early in date, being written shortly after Chaucer's death. It is seen as an important source for effort to reconstruct Chaucer's original text and intentions. Though John M. Manley and Edith Rickert in their text of the Canterbury Tales, 1940, noted that whoever edited the manuscript probably made substantial revisions, tried to regularize spelling, and put the individual tales into a smoothly running order. Up until this point, the Ellesmere manuscript has been the base text by several editions, such as that of W. W. Sciat, with variants checked against British Library. Harley, MS 7334. The manuscript is believed to have been written by a single scribe, the same scribe who wrote the Hingworth manuscript of the tales. The scribe is identifies as Adam Pinkhurst, a man employed by Chaucer himself. However, the attribution is controversial, with many paleographers remaining undecided for or against. If the scribe is employed by Chaucer directly, this would imply that the reconstruction hypothesized by Manley and Rickert were carried out by someone who had worked with Chaucer, knew his intentions for the tale, and had access to draft materials. The Ellesmere manuscript is conventionally referred to as L in studies of the tales and their textual history. A facsimile edition is available. So Allah Hafiz, I will see you soon.